what I see ahead for gold and silver in 2012, a lot of people have been asking me. In fact, I've gotten a couple emails this week from followers asking me, Josh, where do you see gold and silver going in 2012? Well, honestly, I'm not really sure. So it's speculation, whether it's coming from me or anybody else, and that's why you really need to do your own research, especially if you're going to invest in precious metals. What I can tell you is that long term, I see the same things that I've been talking about since the start going on, and that means money being printed, debt being monetized, the middle class being wiped out, our currency becoming worth less and less. But I do see some things going on right now that in the short term could prevent the dollar from collapsing immediately. And so what's happening right now is that Europe is actually, they're having a crisis, and it's actually propping up the dollar in the short term. And I've done a video about this, but in the long term, I expect this to be cancerous for the dollar and crucify the dollar along with all other fiat currencies. So, you know, how long are the problems that the euro is facing going to push up the dollar? I really can't answer that question for you. You need to do your own research. But what I can tell you is that long term, it's going to help to the demise of the dollar and the demise of all fiat currencies. So, you know, long term, my position on gold and silver is the exact same. I'm going to keep acquiring physical gold and silver throughout 2012, just like I did in 2011, as a hedge against inflation. But ultimately, I'm going to focus this year on cash flow, just like 2011. That means acquiring things that put money in my pocket, residual income. So with gold and silver, some of the things that I think could have a major impact are governments printing more money and monetizing debt, as banking institutions around the world are struggling to be able to lend money. And I see the printing leading to a devaluation of the currency, but there's so much debt that it might take a while, and it might take a huge injection of currency before we really start to see the inflation. In addition to all these things, you have going on a huge election in 2012 where we're going to see Republicans and Democrats go at it. Now, they might fight over the budget, the deficits, all these things, and these could hurt the dollar. But at the same time, you're going to see them fight to promote the debt system. And depending on who we see in Washington from 2012 to 2016 is going to have a major effect, in my opinion, on what happens to gold and silver. Case in point, if Ron Paul is elected, I see gold and silver rising drastically, probably immediately following the elections. But if we see Barack Obama be reelected, then they're going to fight to keep doing what's going on right now. I don't see gold and silver rising as much right away. Nonetheless, I think they're going to do a lot of things to stabilize the dollar through 2012 to help get Obama reelected. So once the election's over, if he does get elected, they might slow off on that and go back to some of the things that might be more important on their agenda, which means we'll keep seeing the pattern growing of the dollar going down and gold and silver rising. So it'll be interesting to see. And there's a lot of things, like I said, there's a lot of things to take into effect. I'm not even touching on technical analysis. I'm only talking right now about fundamental analysis. So do your own research. But if you want to protect yourself against inflation, I do see gold and silver as a hedge. Hopefully, silver is going to keep dropping in the short term because that means you can acquire more of it with less dollars. And so each time, you know, we saw some huge drops in 2011. We saw it go from 50 to 34 roughly. We saw it go from roughly 43 to 29, and then we saw it go again from roughly 33 to where we're at right now, about 27.75. And I'm taking advantage of each one of these dips, and I'm going in and buying every time it dips. Now, you might look at it and say, well, that means the last time you bought, you could have got cheaper now. Well, I'm being greedy while a lot of other people are being fearful. And when a lot of other people are being fearful, when a lot of other people are being greedy, I'll probably be fearful then. You know, I know there's a lot of people that bought in the 40s, high 40s, right before it hit 50, and they lost their shirts because then they sold out when they got scared when it went down to 30. So I'm trying to do the opposite of that, and we'll see. But like I said, I'm going to focus 2012 on my cash flowing assets, and I urge you to do the same.